Hi István.
Hi Attila.
How you are doing with the support ticket? You know, we discussed it the day before yesterday.
Sure, I know. But actually I had to tackle with a very urgent security ticket.
What is the progress of the security ticket?
Well, it's a good question. But yesterday Tibor told me that the feature development deadline is coming and I had to change there. I'm going to finish it today.
István, have you finished the feature development yesterday?
It's almost done, but not yet releasable.
Oh, what happened?
Balázs pulled me with the bug fix promised for the next week.
Hello everybody. István is a Java developer for more than 20 years, within tackling with Atlassian plugin add-on app development for 15 years. He has worked from being a sole entrepreneur to building small developer teams of about 20 members. The biggest organization he was involved in was the European Commission, with about 25 key members, with more than 200 Jira instances to operate, and the big one with more than 2,000 projects.
Attila is a co-CEO of the META-INF. He is Atlassian certified expert and one of the founder of the Hungarian Atlassian Meetup, which is a constantly growing community with almost 1,000 members.
One of our main problems was the unpredictability of the development. We try to plan, we try to focus, we try to almost everything. But the situation, like in the introduction part, just happened more and more often and naturally became an essential part of our life. That is why we decided to change. First of all, let's walk through on our agenda. We have 4 steps to follow. We would like to give you an understanding of what the starting point where operational environment was in which we try to operate. After that, we are happy to share with you 2 essential parts of our internal organizational development process. In one hand, the support engineer role. On the other hand, the introduction of customer-driven team and roadmap-driven team. This separation was not the first thought, but definitely the most promising one. You can see later why. Last but not least, at the end of our presentation, we share with you our plan for continuous improvement.
As an Atlassian Platinum Marketplace partner, we have roadmaps for our products. We have a vision and plenty of other requirements we have to deal with. In the former, we have long-term issues. In the latter, urgent ones. At the beginning, we had one team who tried to fight with everything with the same methodology. Of course, it was quite inefficient because you need different strategy for different needs. We tried to increase the number of the developers, but it did not help. It made the work within the organization even more difficult.
So let's see what we need to deal with.
8 different products.
Support requests of more than 6,000 organizations.
3 different platforms.
Urgent bug reports.
2 code bases per app.
Bug bounty program submissions.
More than 500 accepted development tasks.
Atlassian dependency.
Continuous improvements.
Support internal improvements. It's quite complex, isn't it? Maybe it is even not surprising that we could not predict our releases. Sometimes we had to work on quite difficult requirements, sometimes we had strict deadlines. So we were definitely motivated to find a solution for a better way of working. After an analysis of situation, we found the main root cause of our problem, which we are going to explain it in a second. Activities listed here can be grouped for 2 very different parts.
Plannable
and unplannable task. As it is obvious to plan a release or find the right time for internal development processes, they are more plannable. It is impossible to plan when somebody submits a critical security bug or when changes of Atlassian dependency occur to which we must comply immediately. We were very happy to realize, and we did nothing else but started to separate the plannable tasks from the unplannable ones and handle them with the different workflows.
Before we separate the plannable and unplannable task, we have to make a decision. We have to make a decision of every task, whether it is plannable or unplannable. This process is the triage of the tasks. At first, it seems to be simple and straightforward, but we have to take into account different boundary conditions. If the task is very urgent or as soon as possible, for example, a security bug report, it is obvious that it is an unplanned and unplannable task. On the other hand, when the task is known in advance and the due date allows a long-term release, it is a planned and plannable task. It was easy until now, but what about the tasks that have a short or mid-term due date? Is it plannable or unplannable? Well, it depends. It depends on the roadmap of the roadmap-driven team, how long the roadmap is at the time of the triage, how rigid it is. If the roadmap is carved in stone for a longer time than the due date of the task, then this task is unplannable in the sense that in our conditions we cannot wait for it to be scheduled. If the due date is after the end of the fixed part of the roadmap, then we can schedule this task as a planned one. As you see, it's not trivial to decide if a task is plannable or not.
Okay, so we have not two, but three different types of tasks, but we wanted to find a better way to handle unplannable tasks with the maximum progress. 2 years ago, at Christmas time, after a great meal and maybe a glass of wine, I had an idea how can we save time for our developer team and make happier our support team as well. We created a continuously changing role called support engineer. This person starts as a level 1 support, and after 2 years he or she becomes a product developer. This is still our most detailed job description. Actually, we planned each quarter of the 2 years period of this role. What the main focus of the quarter is, what we expect to do, what the main personal development area is. Let me give you an example. At the second quarter, the main focus of this role is the level 1 support and becoming familiar with the level 2. So what kind of activities he or she does, be prepared to do level 2 support and be able to modify code bases. What does an average week looks like? 2 days level 1 support, 2 days level 2 support, and 1 day development. Okay, and what about the fifth quarter? The main focus of the support engineer role at the fifth quarter is the full service of level 2 support and becoming a part-time product developer, and do some level 1 support if it's needed. How does an average week looks like? 2 days level 2 support, 2 days development, and 1 day level 1 support if it's needed.
During the first introduction of the support engineer in the last year as a developer, I had the following experiences. I had continuously decreasing load of support requests. The bug reports were prepared from the technical point of view as well. For example, the bug was pointed out at the source code level. The support engineer catalyzed the improvement of the internal support development. As the support engineer has both support and development experience, this role can be a communication bridge between the support and the development teams. This role is the one that has common language with both teams. Apart from the bridge functionality, the support engineer with experience on 2 areas is a typical archetype of a so-called P-shaped people, multifaceted with skills. It means a greater flexibility to our team that have limited people resources.
Support engineer role is working properly now. We are in the second cycle. The first one, Levente, is transforming now to the developer team, and the second one, András, is onboarding to be an even better support engineer. We were delighted definitely with the role, but we haven't felt too much result on the predictability of the development. Developers had to still handle plenty of unplannable tasks. We were thinking about to increase the team size, but it caused only longer meetings and more difficult internal processes without any result. We were thinking about to split the team and working on a shared backlog, but we were really skeptical about the effect. Once upon a time, Tibor, my co-CEO, came up with a straightforward but brilliant idea. Let's create two different teams for different problems. Roadmap-driven team, as we called, became responsible for the roadmap. New features coming from the product owner, refactoring code bases and architectures. And we keep them as undisturbed as possible. The other part, called customer-driven team, should handle everything which is unpredictable, unplannable. Bug bounty submissions, urgent support requests which need developer skills. Priority of the customer-driven team is coming from the product support team, because they have the best knowledge what our customers need. Our developers rotate between the two teams periodically. This ensures they remain close to our customers, understanding their problems and needs, and when they work in the customer-driven team. But also they can still contribute to the main product development as well when they sit in the roadmap-driven team. To find the best way of working is an essential part of this separation. That was the bottleneck of the success, and I am very happy to know we were brave enough to ask help from an external agile coach. Sometimes you are doing your best for so long time, it is hard to find a resolution outside of the valued, practiced way of working. With the help of an expert, we even created a vision for our teams.
The summary of the customer-driven team's vision is delivery and full communication of development requests with the shortest possible lead time. So how does the customer-driven team works in the dailies? You can focus on your work, the context which is rare, driven by only the tasks. Even we are prioritizing day by day, we are prepared to give faster reaction using the fast lane. Fast lane has the same workflow to keep the quality, but visually separated on the Kanban board and always has priority over other tasks. We have a clear view for the whole day, what to do as we keep daily sync. On the daily sync, we always try to focus on the followings: on the future and on who and what can add to finish the tasks, on blocking issues, if any, and instead of giving a status, we keep thinking as the status is always available on the Kanban board. We have created the Kanban policies together that results in a common knowledge of it. One of the best value of policies is the limit the work in progress. That protects us from being overloaded by tasks or by unwanted context switching. The summary of the roadmap-driven team vision is create a proud and flexible software development team that can be operated safely in a scalable and predictable way. How does the roadmap-driven team is working daily? You can focus on your work, no context switch at all. We have a clear view for the whole iteration what to do. We have time to develop our technical skills. For example, we have started to apply the test-driven development methodology in our daily workflow.
Where we are right now, we have two talented support engineers and two different parts of our developer team. We have a successful big release from our roadmap-driven team side. We were happy to release webhooks on our flagship product, Email This Issue, with which administrators can create warnings if a problem is caused with their extraordinarily important mail handlers to process emails into Jira. The release was almost on time, and what else could be better rating as a great customer feedback? And we were able to done almost 300 customer-facing issues while our customer-driven team is operating. These are quite impressive. But on the other hand, from management perspectives, we cannot sit back and relax because our next release delayed a lot. We need to improve estimations or working methods to meet our expectations.
Let's see the actual state from the developer point of view. Measuring the flow or speed in case of the roadmap-driven team means the sprint velocity measurement as we work in iterations. As you may know, the velocity is specific to a team. Actually, as we have introduced the rotation between the teams about in 3 months, it interrupts the composition of the team that changes the real velocity, as we need 2 or more sprints to get the new real velocity. After a short period, we change again. So we are now unable to effectively use the velocity measurement and still have no idea how to fix it. Measuring the flow or speed in case of the customer-driven team means to monitor the lead time for each bug fix and small feature request. Rotating. We rotate the developers between the 2 teams. It's working well as we experience the followings. Keep all team members up to date in all areas. Develop the practices to make us interchangeable. It quickly highlights habits and documentation gaps. Scaling up. Before the team split, it was hard to increase the size of the team. It was counterproductive. Now we are able to scale the teams, and the reasons are not only the smaller teams' sizes.
But as a takeaway from our side, we highly recommend you the followings.
Analyze your task periodically, ready to leave your usual habits. You do not need to do it monthly, but once a year or 2, maybe you need something really different to what you have done before.
Be brave to ask help from outside. Be open for a real change. That was one of the best ideas of all, to work with an agile coach who has deep developer knowledge as well.
Think out of the box. Know your limitations. Maybe a good meal, a glass of wine, a song session, a great book, or a running activity. Let yourself be inspired.
Last but not least, never ever try to plan the unplannable. Estimation planning can give us enough challenges to solve in a normal development task as well. Let the unplannable task happen and react fast and relaxed. Be calm with the context switching on this area, and never forget to see back how many happy customers are using your products.